So our next guest is J.R. Chapman.
Bring RJ up. Do. Oh, we can't hear you. Hang on. You gotta unmute.
Think I'm unmuted. You
There
guys
we
there?
go. Yeah. Yeah, we can hear you.
We were there for a second. No, there we are. Nice. Yeah, good.
Now we lost Oren though. Let me get you.
I'm back. I'm back home. I'm getting. Can you guys see me? I'm getting some more light.
I see you, Oren.
I'm getting a little bit more light. Thank you, J.R. Chapman. You ready?
RJ.
RJ.
Yeah.
RJ Chapman.
Yeah. Oh boy. Here we go.
Y'all are all good to go.
RJ Chapman, it's all yours.
Okay. Well, hey, it's great to be here. I think this is pretty neat what everybody's done with all this big production. I appreciate you having me on the show. I'm not really quite sure what I'm supposed to do, if I'm supposed to talk about my book or my life or what's going on, but I'm going to start with this right there, baby. Keep smiling. I got that from Ken himself at a big conference the other day, so that's pretty neat. And I was thinking about a smile the other day, and I thought, you know what? Smiles, they bring light. They bring light into everybody's world, and we need a lot more light in the world these days. So I love smiling. And I love the opportunity to be on here and talk about what it is that I do or what I've been doing, because it's been crazy. I retired about 3 years ago, and my life has been all ahead flank ever since then. I started off with a TED Talk. I talked about that earlier in another show. And if you guys want to do a TED Talk, more power to you. But it's some work. It is very fulfilling. And, you live forever on YouTube. So TED Talk was pretty cool. And then somebody saw my TED Talk and they said, RJ, you got to do a YouTube channel. So I started my YouTube channel, the RJ Chapman Show, shameless plug, and it's doing very well. And it's a lot of fun. It's kind of a hobby that I have. And then I talked to Ken. A friend of mine told me that he was a great man, wouldn't steer you wrong. And I took the risk and I took the plunge. He called me the long shot, Rudy. And I wrote a book. He encouraged me to write a children's book. And so I wrote my first book, really, and it's a children's book. And it's all done. So now it's being published and, I don't know, formatted and a cover put on it or something. And it should be out pretty soon. And I really enjoyed doing it. Ken told me, he said, RJ, I want you to write a children's book. I said, Ken, I don't even know what a children's book is. I have never had any kids, and I never had a children's book read to me. I don't really think I had any books read to me. And so he read one to me. He read a children's book to me, and it was cute. I thought, wow, that's cute. And I never figured that it would come into my mind. But the next day I was in the hospital getting a little B12 shot. This lady said, right this way. And I came up there and she said, how's your day going? I said, I've never had a bad day. And she said, I'll never forget it. She said, I want what you got. And I
What a
went home.
powerful statement there. I've never
And
had
that,
a bad day. That's a
yeah,
powerful statement, sir.
yeah, thank you. Because it's true. I mean, now, if I did have a bad day, no one would ever know. You will never know that I'm having a little iffy day. I will say a couple of weeks ago, you're going to love this. My Google thing goes down. So now I don't have any email. I do something with my phone to get Google back and it gets locked. And then I drive my car down to do something and 3 of the 4 tires blow up. It was a fabulous day. But you would never know that because I'm not gonna show you that. You don't need to hear that. Nobody needs to hear all that stuff that happened to you that day. And I remember I was in church that night saying, yeah, I had kind of an iffy day. And I went over the 3 things that went bad. And this couple behind me goes, that sounds like every day for us. So yeah, you're not going to know it. because you know you don't need to know it. What you need to know is it's a beautiful day. The sun's fixing to come up here in Georgia, and I'm on Zoom talking to some great people and have a good time.
That's amazing. I love that because I try to live my life by that every day, especially with the amount of pain and physical therapy and everything that I'm going through right now. People, I like to say, I make it look good because unless you know what's going on with me, you wouldn't know.
That's really good. I'm glad you're doing that. That's wonderful. There's not enough people that kind of do that whole thing. But it's just being nice, you know, being nice, caring about others. Don't think about yourself. Like I'm glad Oren, he didn't read my bio. They sent this bio out of me. And every time somebody reads that bio, I'm like looking around, who's this guy they're talking about, you know? Because it's a crazy thing. And I would just much rather. I like how Oren did it. He just said, RJ, just start blabbing. So here I am. I'm blabbing.
RJ doesn't like to brag about himself, but RJ's a pretty big dude in his area. But he kind of ran unopposed from what I'm remembering.
Yeah. Yeah, here it is. Proof positive. I'm the president of the North Jacksonville Toastmasters. I ran unopposed, but I am the president. There's my award. I made it myself. And I made these little
It's
things.
pretty.
Yeah, I made these for everybody in the club. I love them.
I like the fact that you say I never had a bad day. I tell people all the time today is the best day of my life. They said, "Did you hit the lottery?" I said, "Yes, I hit the lottery. I hit the lottery every day I wake up." You have to create your own lottery in this world.
That is so true. And when you do create it for yourself, they gravitate to you. I'm telling you, I don't know how to say this really, but when I spend time with somebody, I want that time to be special for them. I want them to say, wow, there's RJ. Wow, it's going to be a great day. We're going to go golfing or he's going to buy me breakfast. Because nobody ever pays for food if they go out with me.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I love you, RJ. RJ, you're awesome. What city you from, RJ?
Well, I live about 17 miles from Jacksonville, Florida. And, you know, I'm more busy now than I ever was. I mean, I retired 3 years ago from the high school. I taught for 14 years, ROTC. I did 32 years in the Navy. And I'm telling you, ever since I retired, it has been all ahead flank. But I love it because I determine what goes on. I have some certain things that are, you know, of course, church on Sunday, Wednesday, church. I do some stuff with special needs kids on Thursday for an hour. And all those things are written in stone, but all the rest of it is open to whatever, you know, I can do best at or help somebody with. I've got some really great friends that I met through Toastmasters, and I know they're watching right now, so I'm trying not to goof it up for you.
Well, you're doing a good job, RJ. I'm
Yeah.
inspired. So, do you ever travel with your speaking Toastmasters?
Yeah, I just got back from a conference in Orlando. It was the big final conference, and there were 8 speakers. I was one of them. I met Ken there live in person. Got to hug him. He's a good hugger. And and then I gave my speech. The speech was perfect. Oren, the speech was perfect. Now the guy delivering it, he wasn't so perfect. And the problem is when you give a speech to 1,000 Toastmasters, if you stumble a smidge, they'll catch it. And I stumbled just a smidge early on and they caught it. But like a regular guy like Ken, who doesn't know anything about all this Toastmaster stuff or much, he comes up to me afterwards. He's hugging me and he's crying. I'm like, dude, he goes, oh, you should have won. You should have won. And I go, it's okay. It's okay. I know what I did. You don't know, but I know. So I didn't place. I didn't lose, but I didn't place.
Well, any questions for RJ Chapman? Anyone in the chat? Or
If not, I'll just blab away about these books.
I think you got about
I have one question. What's that painting you're working on in the background there?
Oh, I'm so glad you asked. I'm going to show you.
Oh, thank you. Yes, we've
Yeah,
got the Bob Ross. Bob
yes.
Ross. I need my pretty little tree.
You can't paint Bob unless you got Bob. Channel your inner Bob. As a matter of fact.
for the bald-a-thon, I think I'm going to get a bald cap for everybody because I've got these long, beautiful locks.
I
In
saw
case you
that.
haven't seen them,
Yeah, I
yeah, I
saw that.
got
I'm
these
very
long,
jealous.
beautiful locks.
Yeah, I'm very jealous of that. And matter of fact, I used to have this look. It was like a tennis ball, and and Ken goes, "Go shave your head. Go shave your head." So I shaved my head off that day. But that's my Bob Ross picture. I painted that Monday in my studio, and I did a YouTube story on it because I'm talking about,
No way, you did
having
the YouTube as well?
yes,
Yes.
that painting's in it because I talk about, I've got my wig on and I'm painting, and that's my second picture I ever painted in my life. And I brought it back to the house, and all my friends are like, "You did not paint that. You did not paint that." I go, "Yeah, I just did it. I just watched the tutorial, stayed in a Holiday Inn. Yeah, look at that. It's great."
That
But
is phenomenal, good sir.
Bob always has messages, we don't make mistakes, just happy little accidents. When I taught school, every Thursday after our uniform inspection, we had 30 minutes to kill, and we watched a Bob Ross video because one of the kids said, "Master Chief, you got to watch this guy, Bob." So we watched it. And then one day, the same kid gives me this book. And I go, "Oh, I thought it was the story of Bob." You know what it was? It was a journal. Yeah, it was all blank pages. So I go, "What do I do with this?" He goes, "You write in it, Master Chief." I said, "No, you write in it. Write me a story. And someday when I retire, I'll read your story and remember you." So this book was in my classroom for 14 years. And guess what? It's got 62 stories, 62 letters to me. And there they are. Look at them, dressed up in their little uniforms.
I
And
love it.
so my next book is I write a couple of paragraphs about them. Here's how it works. I read the letter. I think about them all day. I try to remember them, think about them all day. Then I write a couple of paragraphs about them, and then I put their letter in. And that's chapter 1. And there's 62 letters in here. So we're going to have 52 chapters and 10 bonus.
Boom.
Boom. That's Ken. We're going to have 10 bonus, RJ. Okay. Whatever you say.
Boom. That's me. I'm the boom guy. I'm right there with you, the big energy. I was the one that called you earlier.
Like it. So yeah, that's what I've been up to. I YouTube, Toastmasters, a couple of books, helping the special needs kids. I'm trying to be honest with you, how much time do I get? A little bit of time. The whole reason I'm doing all this, you're going to love it. The whole reason I'm doing all this is I want to sign for my church. Now, my church has the sign where you put the letters in there. And my wife and her twin sister are always trying to get the phrase and write the name, and they're running out of T's, and it's a big pain. And so I said, you know what? Our church needs one of those electronic signs like the big churches have. Now, we got about 45 people in my church, and the sign costs $50,000. So first of all, I ran a golf tournament, and I made $15,000. I gave that for the sign. And then I've got a couple of cars that I was trying to sell, and nobody wants to buy them. They all want to steal them. So I'm not going to let them steal them. So now all this other stuff, the books, YouTube, all that stuff, the first $35,000, public speaking, I love, trust me, I'm going to be on the circuit. I want to be a keynote speaker. I've done a lot of that stuff. First 35,000 goes to my church for the sign. And I'm telling you what, I'm getting it this year. But if I would have just spent taken all this money, I could have bought the sign myself by now. But I wouldn't have a hobby that's fun, and I wouldn't have met all these great people. So it's a lot of fun.
You're amazing, RJ.
Ah, come on. Quit. Who are you talking about? Where is that guy? There I go again.
Ooh, me?
Yeah.
So RJ, you got each kid to write a story about you. And how many kids? You said 34 or 64 kids? How many kids?
Well, here was the deal. I told him, look, if you want to write me a letter, you can. And the book was just on my desk, and I said you could take the book home too. And amazingly enough, they took the book home sometimes and brought it back. Are you kidding me? Sophomores? And they're just letters to me about what I did that day or that week that touched them. And I didn't even, as a teacher, you don't know what you're doing. I mean, you don't know what you say will stick, what they will remember for the rest of their lives. And they poured their little hearts out into this thing. As a matter of fact, on my TED talk, I talk about this girl. Her name was Rifle Girl. And I said, hey, Rifle Girl, how about writing me a letter? Because I knew, she would never do it if I didn't ask her. And she says, I will never write a letter in the Bob Ross. And I was like, oh, she broke my heart for like a billionth of a second. And I said, okay, no big deal. Who wants to write in the book? And two guys, tackle each other to get to the book. But at the end of the year, I came into my classroom and there was a little bird on my desk, a little paper bird. And there was a little 3x5 card that said, open the crane. And I unfolded the thing, and it was a letter from her telling me how much I meant to her. And she was sorry that she didn't write the Bob Ross. So it's really touching. These kids they're really touching. And I loved them all. So that's how it came about. And I never read one of them till I retired. And then when I read them, oh my God, where's the Kleenex? Well, I'm almost doing it right now. Meant a lot to me.
I'm right there with you. I'm almost crying with you.
Aw, well, that's good. You're in touch with your inner self.
Always, I'm the guy at the movie theater that looks over at people and goes, what do you mean? Why aren't you crying?
Dude, I almost went to the hospital when I watched The Notebook.
Alrighty, who do we got next on our list, Orrin?
Well, we got Mamie Jean Lamley, and she's
Alrighty.
ready to go. Let's go.
Bye.
We've got Mamie. Alrighty, RJ, it was great having you, good sir.
Thank you.
RJ, you're bad to the bone.